to organization.
Sorry,
And
turn on the recording.
yeah, and I'm a practitioner of NVC, and just like learning about it, and and sharing it whenever I can. So thank y'all for being in company with me. It's really good to see y'all.
Hey, I'm Talis. I know y'all, but Roberta, I didn't know you moved to New York City. Have you moved permanently?
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting. I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, but it's good to see y'all. Good to see your faces. I'm happy to be here.
I'm Michael. I am new. I'm going to be a Yelp assistant. I'm a senior at UNC Asheville. I have pretty bad Wi-Fi connection in my hall. Hoping that will improve soon.
Thanks, Michael. Welcome. Does it help if you turn off your? Let's see if you can leave it on, and if it helps to turn off your video. I think we've all been there. Michael, have you had any experience with nonviolent communication before?
I have never actually heard the term itself, but I definitely have experience. I just didn't realize that it had a name.
Right. Yeah. So the particular focus of this session is to really help people who are part of Yelp, Alive, other community organizations, learn how to facilitate using nonviolent communication. Just develop some skills of sharing nonviolent communication. So it's great that you're here, Michael. And I know, Talis, you've said in the past you're pretty new to that, because my vision for what we would do is whoever is on the call and is stepping forward into that role, such as Daniel, would actually do some real, like, here's how I'm going to facilitate this. And it's perfect to have people in the group who it really is new to. So it's not like you won't be role playing that you're new to this. So I'm so grateful you're here. I think it'll really be helpful. I just want to check how everybody else feels about what I just said. Makes sense? All right. So am I accurate, Talis, that you don't see yourself yet as moving into a role of sharing NVC, so that we're more here to learn whatever we're going to learn, and the focus will just be on Daniel being the trainee of the day.
Sure, yeah, that sounds great to me. I think you're accurate in that. I have been coming to a few nonviolent communication sessions with y'all at this point, and I feel good with where I'm at. Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel, why don't we just start? And again, we only have an hour, so with you telling us what NVC principle you would like to present in a 15-minute time slot. And just the reason I'm suggesting the 15 minutes, which I think Daniel and I already talked about, is because Daniel shared that one of his challenges is kind of holding to the time, which is such a huge facilitation challenge. Does that work for you to start there, Daniel? And I think we're all completely open to go wherever you want to go.
So yeah, and make sure I got the instructions clear. They just want me to talk about like a challenge or a need that I have in facilitation and present the exercise to y'all that I would like y'all to engage in for about 15 minutes. And then after that, we would check in, and you're probably gonna, be in there to coach me if I need it or anything like that, right? Make sure I have.
I would say, let's just start. Actually, does anybody have I don't have my phone here. Anybody have their phone? You could actually do a timer thing. Anybody have one handy? Talis, are you willing to be the timekeeper? Okay. I would say that in a minute when Talis presses start, that we're going to be your students. And you say, do your thing. And maybe we could get a 10-minute warning. And then, like the alarm goes off at 10 minutes, then you'll know you have 5 more minutes to wrap up.
I can do that. Would you rather me say that you have 10 minutes or throw it in the chat? I don't want to like throw you off or interrupt you. Whatever would be good for you.
Yeah, I think
Probably just hold up your hand, like maybe like 2 for 10 and then 1 for 5.
I think that works out pretty good for me. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, y'all just tell me when to press go.
Okay. Gather myself really quick and like.
You got
it. Okay. So with nonviolent communication, and of course, thank y'all for listening and for being present for the presentation and being willing students and everything like that. Really appreciate y'all. With me, of course, once again, my name is Daniel, and NVC is important to me because I can see how it can open things up. It seems to open space in a conversation, and I appreciate conversation in general because it can get things done. And no matter what we learn, no matter wherever we go in life, if we really want to affect a community in a positive way, or we really want to save the planet, then we're gonna need to be able to talk to people and communicate things. So that way, it's not just us. It's not just us against this thing. Here's this opportunity to bring in someone else to collaborate. Here's this opportunity to really appreciate and utilize and value our friendships and strengthen that. Here's our opportunity to provide emotional support, to see innovation, to negotiate and get through disagreements. And all of those things are really important to saving this planet, because to me, humans are the problem and part of the solution. So I want to do what I can to help people to engage more in conversation. And I like the form, like the official form of NVC, which is, it's based on observations, feelings, needs, and then making an action or a request based on what we learn, what we gathered from that. So I think that part is really, really important. And something that's significant to that is connecting with people, like getting on the same level with people, acknowledging people, being able to reflect what someone says, doing our best to keep it cool in those situations. Little things like that are a part of just someone being able to be in the same room as someone else. And, especially if we disagree with that person, these things that can be very difficult. So I think as much as possible, we would never be perfect, but just by practicing, here we have this opportunity to learn so much more. And, maybe someone that we disagree with and they disagree with us, but we have some information that they could just benefit from so much. And maybe they got some information that we could just benefit from so much. And like I say, it's a challenge. I don't think anyone would ever have it completely figured out, but that by practicing and attempting, we're taking steps in the right direction, and we can open up that space, just like NVC does for me. So once again, thank y'all for listening to that introduction. So I always have this poem that I do, and it's called The Universe's Eye. So I'll share that with y'all really quick. You know, it just goes, one day I was looking into the universe's eyes, and then surprised, it was looking back at me. And so I was a little taken aback, you see, as I admired the spectacular masterpiece. And so I started thinking that if I did not fully understand it, would the universe be mad at me? Or maybe it would laugh at me. But I think it's smiling at me. And it's so pretty. It's beautifully written. It's the universe's eyes. And so we together, us, everybody sees a different piece of the universe. And, you know, we're a different, you know, pair of eyes in the universe. And so whatever vantage point, we're looking at this beautiful thing, whatever it really is, you know, that's something that we could share with someone else and see what they got from their eyes. What do they see? So we're part of the universe's eyes. And that's right, we can't see everything. So that's why that connection is so important. So this is a principle that Roberta, I think, always puts it as connect before we request. And I think this goes such a long way. Connect before we request. I think it probably could be applied to a lot of things, like, you know, we send a message or an email or something, and, you know, we ask somebody something, do we say, you know, hey, hope you're having a good day? So, you know, like little small things like that, you know, it could be noticed. You know, you get an email and it doesn't have that, depending on what they were asking you and how, you know, it could be pleasant or unpleasant. You know, it could be even a little stressful, who knows, right? So connect before we request. And I really want to get into the action of it, so that way, you know, we're not here like just talking too long. But, you know, I mean, when it gives the opportunity to see what that looks like, I want to give a quick example. And
Okay,
then,
did you see the 10-minute warning?
yes.
Okay.
So I want to give just the quickest example, and I would like for, actually, I would love for Michael and Roberta to try it out while Talis keeps the time. Okay, so the scenario is that there are two good friends, and, you know, the situation came up with another friend, a mutual friend, and, you know, y'all take, one person takes the side of that friend, the other person doesn't take the side of that friend. So y'all trying to work it out. Y'all trying to listen. One friend is like really like excited about this, and, you know, the other friend is just, you know, like really almost like shut down, but would love to connect, would love to work this out, would love to save the friendship. So the way that the scenario will play out is that, of course, that one friend is going to be, you know, talking about whatever's important to them about this. They're doing their best to get their feelings out, and they're probably making some mistakes along the way. But if only something could wake them up, maybe a question, maybe a reflection, maybe something where we can connect with this person. What could that be? And so I'll give y'all an opportunity to be creative about how to construct that. But Roberta, I would like you to be, if y'all are okay with this, I just want to make sure that Roberta, that you and Michael actually consent to being a part of this activity, right? Boom, good. Roberta, I would love for you to be the friend that is, you know, like kind of shut down, and it's kind of, you know, like you're really looking for this connection with your friend. You're really wishing that y'all could work through this. You're the one that really wants to say this. Michael, you're going to be the friend that is displeased, and you're really wound up about this situation, about this other friend, and you just really want your feelings to be out there. You really want to be heard. If only you could be heard, then maybe you would connect. Okay, so y'all have 2 minutes to engage this exercise. And Michael, I would love it if you could just start off with whatever's at the top of your heart about this friend. And Roberta, you just shut down and wait, ready to connect.
Okay, is this after like Roberta has told is that they've told me about something that the situation that I in like, have we talked yet, or I'm not?
So y'all know that the situation happened with the friend. Let's say it's Roberta and the friend had a disagreement. And Michael, you're just hearing about it. You don't really know all the facts, but you're wound up about it. You're really excited. You're really a little bit mad or a little bit frustrated. But you only have what you heard. And so you're just now talking to Roberta about it. And Roberta really has something that she needs to tell you about it. And she really needs to connect with you about it. But you're just so mad right now.
Okay, so I'm not the person that Roberta was talking to, or I am the person that Roberta was talking.
So you and Roberta both have a mutual friend.
Okay, yeah.
And that friend is not there in the room with y'all right now. Michael, you talk to that friend.
I talked to that friend.
You're mad about it. You just hear what you heard about the situation. And Roberta already had talked to the friend, and they're the ones that got into the disagreement. But this is the first time that you and Roberta are talking about it.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah, what they had to say, not what I was imagining.
It's a little hard because your internet's kind of kicking in now. But can you say it one more time?
Yeah, I'll type it too, but I said about what happened.
I'm a little bit scared to tell you because I don't want our connection, me and Michael, our connection to be affected by that.
Okay, well, I can acknowledge that you and our friend are different people. Are different people, so sometimes we have differing opinions on things, but that doesn't mean that our friendship has to. We're not going to be parallel about everything, and that's okay.
Okay. Thank you. I really feel relieved hearing that.
Yeah.
It gives me a little trust and maybe courage. 4 minutes. Yeah, the most important thing to me is our friendship and between you and me. And I don't even want to get into what happened with that other person.
So y'all are doing good. I just want to come in and say y'all are doing good. I hear y'all talking about y'all are making some good observations. Y'all are talking about feelings a little bit. Michael, I know that you're really you're a little quick to connect with them. I was almost hoping you're going to be a little bit more mad and make it a challenge for Roberta, but I think you're doing really great. And so y'all move through observations, feelings, and y'all talking a little bit about needs and importance. And I hope that y'all are gonna get soon to a request that you can make to one another. Okay, I'm gonna let y'all get back to where you're doing.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I hope with knowing that through things and talk to each other, and even if there are disagreements, it doesn't have to. That maybe we can connect and get each other to some kind of solution together, so we can move forward from this. What do you think about
that? So you want me to be involved in? Oh, right. Start all over. So you want to be involved in what's going on between me and Anne? Is that it?
If you're comfortable with sharing, I of the way that we all value. It would be great if you and Suzanne and I together, because I feel like there's a little bit of friction right now, and I'd like to move forward past that.
Okay. Well, I feel a little scared hearing that, like just nervous. I think I'm worried that the two of you would gang up on me.
Thank you for being, so vulnerable to share that with me. I mean, Ann and I, we go way back, and Roberta, I know group, but like, we're so happy to have you here. And yeah, like, ideal, but it's not, it's not gonna be, I feel like if things just ended at like the first problem that we came to, we would never get anywhere, you know what I mean? So if we could, or like your feelings about it, because I care, not because I am upset, but because I care and I want to.
So what you just said helps me have a little more willingness, because I hear how you see it as part of the health of the whole group. And yeah, I do want to be part of the group. So, okay, I'm open.
Well, I want to go ahead and stop y'all right there. I want to say great job that y'all are creative in this scenario. And I heard y'all using a lot of identifying feeling words. Y'all were, just really immersing yourselves in those feelings. And I think that was an important part of opening up that conversation a little bit further. But I just want to say good job on playing out this scenario, and thank y'all for engaging that activity with me. So
Thanks,
before
Daniel.
we move any further, I would like to pause and ask for any observations that you all had while engaging in that activity, maybe about yourselves, or just maybe about the situation in general, something that stood out to you.
So okay, go ahead, you go first, Michael.
Okay, I was gonna say, I remember school and in high school and having problems come up between like two people that were like ride or die, but like just people that come and go out of your life, and nobody really has the social skills yet on how to like have a health until college, that I came across the idea of it's called, what was it? Healthy conflict. And after going to it, really like changed the world for me and changed, how I view people, and how I approach that. And I handle with care a lot more than I used to. I just wanted to like say shout out to that for that growth. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, healthy conflict. Wow. At UNCA, they had a group. And
I actually was at UNC Greensboro then. I'm a transfer student, so I've just been here for about a year.
That's pretty cool. I love that.
Daniel, I'm wondering if we could switch to giving feedback to you.
Okay.
At a role, as a facilitator. Are you open to that?
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Go ahead and kick my butt, whatever y'all need to. I can't take my notes as usual.
Okay, I'm okay starting unless somebody else wants to start.
I thought you did great, Daniel. I really liked the way that you started. The introduction was like it really brought me in. I loved the poem. I loved the way that you were able to tie it to the environment, because that is what Michael and I are doing here. And so I really, yeah, the intro was awesome. Good job.
High five. Oh, and I want to make sure to also be very open to critical feedback. Where you're like, Daniel, you know, I saw one lock of hair was out of place and that was too much. Or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I'm open to that too. And thank you.
Michael, do you want to go next?
Sure. It was so sweet to take the time to have a poem to read through. Yes. Your energy and your smile is everything. Like, just like really sets the tone for like a safe. Because I'm not one to just but when you do something kind of like at the just like quickly and just kind of think and like acting has never been my thing. I used to play D&D and I just anyways felt safe with that. So so I wanted to say thank you for that. The only thing is I was a little confused the situation itself. I mean, I had a few questions and you promptly answered that for me. So just adding like a few more details, maybe giving the third person a name so we know like who's who. Be helpful. Yes, thank you.
I like that. That's right. And thank you.
So I 100% ditto to what Michael and Talis shared. I loved how the first thing you did that I really noticed that brought me in was you said, okay, you took a breath. You said, let me gather myself. And, you know, I thought, yes, that is really what we want, right? Anyone who's facilitating a meeting, giving a training on anything, we want them to gather themselves at the beginning. And so I really appreciated that, the breath. And then I also really liked that you said that, you know, because it just created some trust, like, oh yeah, he's going to lead this, and he wants to be like fully present and gathered. And so I really appreciated that. I took some notes, so that's how I'm going through this. That you started by thanking us for being on the journey with you. That kind of brought us in, you know, that, yeah, there's an us and we're all creating it. And then I really liked, and on some of this, I'm just repeating what Talis and Michael said, you know, NVC is important to me. And the whole way you talked about using it to save the planet. And not only that, you know, you talked about communication in general, but the way you were talking about that NVC helps us communicate so that we can be more effective in saving the planet. There was just the way you link together communication and our hopes and dreams, I think is really, really important and essential, crucial. It's like, and it's, we don't often hear that, you know, so it really made it, yeah, this is a tool for like building the movement we need to save the planet.
Yeah.
And I liked the different examples that you gave of connecting, acknowledging, reflecting back. And the poem and the principle, connect before you request, all of that. So then some of the questions I had that came up for me. to make that transition from you presenting to, okay, now I'm going to give a role play. I'm going to set up a role play. That's a very challenging transition to make, right? Because in the beginning, we're sitting there, we are, we're being spoon fed. And now there's a shift. So, depending on the time and all that, you might want to acknowledge, just as another way, like Michael mentioned, how, the way you present and show up, it creates a safety, right? So another way of creating that safety as a facilitator is to acknowledge, okay, now this is going to be, we're going to go to a different edge now, right? And I'm really inviting people who are willing to be a little vulnerable right now. You know what I mean? Just, and again, these are optional, just things to consider in your facilitation, like how much do I want to acknowledge that? And because sometimes you might already realize from something that happened before, or an email you got from a participant before the session or whatever, that there's some vulnerability in the room, so just if you already have that sense, you want to just pay more attention to meeting needs for safety, for example, right? And then I was curious, what was your process in deciding to set up a role play around, not a real situation? Because I find also that this is something that I work with back and forth. I tend to go for real live situation. I tend to usually, when I'm setting up a role play, I usually will say, so we're going to work on the NVC skill of, hearing the other person's feelings and needs, or moving toward a request, let's say. I'll usually present, that's the skill we're going to work on. And then I'll ask, who has a scenario that you want to work on that involves that? And I've noticed that that isn't always very effective. So I'm curious, and just as a facilitator, these are the kinds of things we want to be thinking about, and when we're preparing, do I want to ask people for scenarios, or do I want to give them one? So I'm just wondering if you had a process of thinking about that.
Yeah, like for me, like this was like one of the hard parts. So role playing is like, I like when I have more time to explain it. And you know what I mean? So like, I'm like, oh no, time. If I'm thinking about time and explaining it, I'm like, no, like it can get crossed up. So like I feel like sometimes I would miss certain things that I would want to do. Or if I didn't feel the pressure of time, I would explain it better. You know what I mean? I would explain it with more clarity and more specifics. And so for me, I wanted to choose like a non-real situation in hopes that it would give more freedom to the participants that are creating it. They're acting this out, right? And also sometimes a lot of freedom can be a challenge too, because it's like, okay, so much freedom, where do I go? So I was like caught in between, do I keep it so specific or do I give them more room? So I was really just hoping that the room would like be good. But I want to do better about being able to give the specifics that I want to give in an effective amount of time, like quickly, but still get everything in there that, I want to give the participants enough to work with, and but not so much to limit whatever they could create through that and work through that. Like I want to see what's coming up from the heart, from the surface. So a lot of times in my facilitations, I love, just like really reaching into people's hearts. It's special to me. So, but yeah, so that's where, like what y'all saw me at, that's where I have the challenge, is like there, like really just like, boom, pressure under time and explaining this the way that I want to in a role play situation. And Roberta knows that, and that's exactly why Roberta did it. That's exactly why.
Well, so I want to really acknowledge what I'm hearing, what I think we're hearing is that you really had a very intentional process. And that's the important thing, you know, it's like as a facilitator, you never know what's going to turn out to be the right choice. You know, what we can do is, you know, be very intentional. Well, I'm going to do it this way because it's so I just really want to acknowledge that. And I'll just share another way. So Robert Gonzalez, who I think, did you ever do any of the online classes that he did? He was kind of my main nonviolent communication teacher after Marshall passed away. He kind of became, yeah, and then Robert passed away. It's like, but anyway, what he would do to set up role plays is he would say, I want to do a role play about something someone did that was disappointing for you. So he puts out the scenario, and then I'll say, so I'd like to 3 people who have a real situation involving that. I'd like to hear your situations. And then he picks the one that he thinks would work the best for him. And I think that's a really great way to do it, you know, when you have more than 15 minutes, obviously, which is all you had, you know, because very often people come in with like these like really complicated, convoluted situations, or like the deepest wounding of their life, or, you know, so you want to, as a facilitator, be able to choose if you want to use a real life situation. So that's just another, let's say, technique for setting up, for choosing the scenario, you know, to have in your toolbox.
Yeah.
And so, and then I would say, whenever possible, the trainer should model the role play. So what I would suggest in the time we have now, yeah, we have 20 minutes left. You know, want to see what everybody thinks about this, especially you, Daniel, and all of us, that you redo the part, you know, where you're going to set up the role play. And this time you're going to start out by modeling it, or you could actually be in the role play. So either one. And this is, I do this all the time now, and it's because I got so much feedback over the years where, you know, half the people were completely lost. They didn't, you know, you end up spending all the time explaining the details or explaining what you're doing, and modeling, I think, is so much more of an effective learning tool. So do you want to try like doing it over? You could do the same role play if you know, if you want, but you model. This is I'm suggesting we do, and you lay it out really clearly. I'm going to play the friend who was involved in the conflict, and you're going to play the friend who's concerned about the conflict, or, you know, want to, does that seem like something valuable for you to try?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Okay. All right. Awesome. Okay. So thank y'all for engaging in this activity once again. So, you know, I think y'all already know that not, you know, nonviolent communication is really important to me and really important to my heart because of the way that it helps people to connect with one another. It has a potential for that. And nonviolent communication itself is only a tool. It's like a structure or form, something that we can use. But we're the ones that carry the energy, and we, you know, we're the ones that have to, you know when and where, and put this where it needs to be, right? But it's there to guide us. It's there to help. And I think it works really good when people are able to connect with one another, are really able to listen. So what are those things that are really going to help us listen? Sometimes it's, taking that deep breath and identifying with one another, finding something similar in the conversation, making acknowledgments of one another, really reflecting when we hear something that stands out to us in a conversation. So those are all kind of like soft skills that help us to connect and really help us maximize on nonviolent communication. So thank y'all for listening to that brief explanation. And I want to make sure that y'all know that nonviolent communication is based on the form of observations, feelings, needs to requests. And I want to give an example of this. So an observation, if I was going to give in, let's say one or a few sentences that process and show you what it looks like, it would be, hey, I noticed that, a lot of times when we talk, this thing happens where, we start talking really fast and we end up just kind of mad at each other. I noticed this. And I feel torn up about it. I really feel, sometimes frustrated, especially in the moment. And, I'm tired of that because it is important to me to, well, I want to say that it's important to me to really hear you and really listen to you and, really be able to be present with you. So I would like to ask you, can we set aside a time to work on, how we talk to each other, or even, set aside a time to just have fun and we don't have to talk about anything at all. Okay. So, yeah, it's just an example of, nonviolent communication at work. If we're really thinking about connecting with each other and paying attention to each other, observations, feelings, needs, so we can make that request or, make an action that will get us towards our goal, our collective goals. So I want to give a scenario for y'all to go through. And this time we'll have Roberta and Talis to be the students. And Michael, would you be willing to keep the time for us? Yes? Okay. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so in this scenario, Roberta and Talis are really, really good friends. And they have another friend named Natasha, who is really cool, but, is a little high strung and sometimes can, be a little bit quick to rush to decisions or be a little bit quick to rush to judgments. A really cool person, right? And so recently, Roberta and Tasha got into a conversation and things got a little heated and Tasha went back and told Talis and really got Talis kind of worked up or a little bit worried about, what really happened there. So Roberta, you still shut down a little bit off this. And Talis, you really want to know what happened, and you're probably wanting to keep yourself under control. You're doing your best, but you're really excited and you're trying to get things straight. If only Roberta could really hear you. So I'm gonna let y'all have that conversation and play that out. And what I want y'all to work towards is noticing and making observations, feelings, and needs, so you can get to a request or action that will help y'all. And what we could do is, Talis, you and I are going to play as though we're modeling this experience so that Roberta will know and be well informed of how to engage in this conversation. I really want to set a good example for everybody. So Talis, what we're gonna do is you're still gonna be that same character. And I'm going to, actually, we'll play it differently. I'm going to be the character that is, excited and, I'm displeased. And Talis, you're
Is that
shut down.
Natasha? You're going to be Natasha?
No, I'm going to be Roberta.
Oh, okay.
And, but so Talis, you're going to be looking for observations that you can make, observations, feelings, needs, any way that maybe you could identify, maybe you change up the flow of the conversation. So y'all could get to a request that would really help both of you out. And, right now you're going to be like a little bit more of the sensible friend. So here we go. I'm going to give you a little bit of energy, but not too much. Okay. So are you ready?
Yes. So I just want to make sure I understand. So are you playing the kind of reserved friend, or are you playing the friend that heard from Natasha and is coming through with a little bit of energy, feeling a little bit worked up about it?
Actually, now I'm thinking about it, like, I want to make sure I'm really able to just I want to keep this so simple and
Okay.
clear, you know what I mean?
Okay. Mhm.
Maybe it would be better for me so I can model those observations, those feelings and needs and requests. So Talis, will play it so that you're still that excited friend. You're really excited and you're frustrated, and I'm a little bit shut down, but I'm
Okay.
going to look for those things in what we're saying and try to mitigate the conversation a little bit.
Okay.
So and we just do this for just for a second to model what's going on. But Talis, when you're ready, I want you to tell me all about how Tasha, came to you and told you about this conversation that we had, and however she thinks that I was. So,
Okay. Are you ready?
ready?
Cool. Okay. So Daniel, Natasha came over last night and she was feeling really worked up, telling me about this altercation that y'all had. And she was just really feeling like she wasn't a part of this friendship that we have going on. And she got me worked up because now I feel the same way. I'm feeling like we both maybe feel like you're not really caring about this friendship anymore, and I'm just feeling really worked up about it. What happened? How did this come about?
I mean, it's a lot. And first of all, I want to thank you for coming to me and talking to me at all. And just from what I can see, I can see you're worked up, so I can tell that this is important to you. What I want to do is I want to let you know that things didn't turn out the way that we wanted them to, and I'm feeling really sad, just really hurt inside. And I want to process this. This is really important to me. Thank you for that 2-minute warning, because that's wonderful. Just that I want to I really want to talk with you about this, and I want to make sure that I'm in the right space to do so. So what I want to do, I want to request that we take a walk in the park, and I want you to tell me whatever you need to tell me, and I want to make sure to give you that perspective, give you my side of things, and I actually would love it if you could help me and Tasha talk about this a little bit better. What do you think?
That sounds pretty good to me. I would like to hear you out and have you hear me out. We can go for a walk, and we can talk to Natasha as well. That sounds good. I would love to hear what everyone has to say, and I think it would be good if we could all talk together rather than hearing from messengers and things like that.
I agree with you, and I appreciate you. Thank you for hearing me out and being willing to go on this walk. And like I said, I know you were mad at first, so it really means a lot. Thank you. All right, so that's our scenario there, just basic example. And I wanted to keep that brief. I'm sure it probably went a little bit longer than I wanted it to, or than it necessarily had to. But I hope that it was a good example for y'all. How did that work for y'all? Was that clear for everyone involved? Did y'all gain something from that example?
So what would have helped, which I know you have done when we've led workshops, right, would be to have a screen share.
Oh yeah.
Patient, feeling, needs, requests, because especially for people who are brand new, it's not really clear, you know, what is that? You know, so this is the basic template of an NVC communication, you know, so that would have, I think that would help. And
I got one waiting too, but you have it disabled for screen share. I got one waiting.
yeah, I love your screen shares. So I in the little bit of time we have left, I would like to give you the opportunity to practice one more thing, because it came out of you know, our emails or texts before the meeting. So I like how, by the way, I loved it. I'm so grateful for Michael's suggestion about putting people's names. It just was like so clear, brought the whole thing alive. That was great. So thank you for that and for doing that.
Real, Michael. Thank you.
How about you say, we're going to work on observation. So Roberta, or whoever, any one of the three of us, go ahead and just say some, you know, like judgment, you know, some view about Tasha. And coach the one of us, whoever it is, to get to an observation, okay? Because when you're modeling a role play in front of the whole group, another really hard call is, when do you jump in and start coaching a little bit so that people get the difference between you know, a nonviolent communication and another kind of communication. Because if you don't do that, then people start getting really confused. Well, so what's nonviolent communication? What's it bringing? What's it adding? Right. So, and at the same time, it's very delicate to interfere, even in a role play, because as I think maybe all of us have seen, it gets very realistic, right? You know, at a certain point, you know, you're not really acting, you're actually playing out scenarios you've been in your own life. So there's a real delicacy there. So can we just try that? Just I'm upping the vulnerability level here for you, Daniel. So you invited it. You said, yeah, you want it, right?
All right, yeah. So let me make sure I have clear instruction on what you're requesting me to do.
Okay, so let's just do it this way. You just say, we're going to work on observation. So Roberta, in role, make an observation about what happened between you and Tasha. And I'm going to say something that I think is an observation, and you're going to coach me because it won't be an observation. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All right, here we go. All right, so so Roberta, I want you to make an observation about, you know, the conversation that you had with Tasha and how things went. And oh no, wait, what did you say to do? Hold on.
Yeah, just start by saying something like, you know, so let's work on that first step of NVC.
Okay.
Observation.
Yeah.
Just to give a little intro, so everybody knows what we're doing.
And then I make an example of it. Okay. All right. So awesome. So Roberta, so we're gonna have so what I want you to do, I want you to make an observation about the conversation that that you had with Tasha and how things went. And I'll give an example of an observation. An observation that I might notice is, you know, I might notice that Tasha waved her arms a little bit when she was talking. And I don't know. I think you have to go with this one. Like you should take it. Like
okay, so let me do what I'm going to do as Tasha, and then you just coach me to an NVC observation. Okay. Well, I mean, that Tasha, she's like so hot-headed and you know, she just like blurts out whatever's on her mind.
Okay.
That's my observation.
So I noticed that the words that you were using as you were describing, you know, your observations, you know, it could be taken as something that, let's say if Tasha was listening to you describe what you were saying, it could even be something that could escalate the situation, depending on the words that we're using and how we're using them. And I want to make a specific note of like being really non-judgmental when we're making observations, sometimes being really objective about them, being able to be a little bit non-personal about the way that we make an observation can help that observation to be very neutral. So
But I want to be honest. She just blurts out whatever she wants.
and I think honesty is a really, really important value. And the way that we use honesty can put us closer to our goals or also put us further away from those goals. So I think that it's really important how we communicate our honesty so that our true message is really being felt, so that our message is really being communicated and hopefully lacks, you know, negativity, hopefully lacks judgments, because those things can really just get annoying. What do you think? Do you think that that's true? And what do you notice about the way that I'm describing?
Yeah, you know, I really hadn't thought about that. Like you said, that, you know, honesty, you know, what do I want it to be in service of? So yeah, I appreciate hearing that. But how would I be honest then? How would I describe, you know, how she blurts out whatever she wants and she's so hot-headed? I mean, how do I be honest about that in a more positive way?
Awesome. Well, something that can really help in these situations is, you know, really, really describing the person that we're talking about with the fact in mind. Like, let's say that we'll keep in mind that we could be this person that we're describing, that someone else could speak about us in the same way. They could describe us or make observations about us the same way that we're making observations about this other person. How would we want to hear observations made about ourselves? Would we like observations, and would it even support us to hear observations about ourselves that are very judgmental and that are very critical in a way that could, you know, also negatively impact us? Or could it be valuable for someone to describe us or talk about a situation where we were in a way that is non-judgmental and objective? What do you think?
Yeah, I appreciate you drawing the big picture of kind of what it's about. And so just stepping out of role, something that I find helpful would be to say, so tell me one thing she does, one thing that you've observed her do that you're describing as hot-headed. That's in other words, so hot-headed, right, is the judgment or the evaluation I'm making of another person, right? And once I create an image, this is what you were getting at, right? Once I create an image of that person as hot-headed, I'm never going to encounter that person. I'm only going to see, you know, oh, there's hot-headed, you know. So a way of transforming that is to think, you know, well, what's one thing that I've seen her do that feeds my judgment of her as hot-headed? So let's say I would say, well, you know, the other day we went to a restaurant and the waiter, you know, brought something different than what we'd ordered. And she said, what's wrong with people here? And I felt really uncomfortable with that. So that would be an example, right? Because, and you could see the process. One of the reasons why it's so useful, I think, to do this process is when, as soon as you start to back off from the big judgment, you get closer to your own feelings. You know, I felt really uncomfortable, right? And that's why we're making these judgments of people. Really, it's because I felt uncomfortable, you know. So that's one way I would work with that. And that's something I think it works to do that when you're coaching in a role play, because it's not you're not criticizing the person who's trying the role play. You're actually assisting them. So you know, like, what's one thing?
I like that. I like that, being specific about examples.
Yeah. And then once somebody has actually done that transformative process of like shifting from the evaluation of someone as hot-headed to, well, here's what happened. And yeah, I really felt uncomfortable. Now the participant has actually gone through a process. And that's a really good time to ask, so what's that like to shift? Right? Because we want nonviolent communication to be felt in our bodies, right? We want that shift. And the people watching can have the same shift. So I would just say, I'm wondering, Daniel, how did you feel imagining that you were going to jump in and coach someone? Was that hard for you?
Yeah, in some ways, like, you know, just being able to make sure that I have the specific, I want to make sure I have the specific words for them. Like, you know, like there's like a desire to want to make sure that people get things perfect and that I get things perfect. And that's unrealistic too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but it's, of course, it is something that, you know, if it's fresh, it's like, oh man, I want to make sure I get, you know,
Yeah.
I'm really effective for my friends, you know, for the people that are participating in this, you know. So.
Yeah. So that's so important that you really want to present what's effective and accurate and you know, that's just so full of integrity and that's, you know, really important. So what you could always do, I taught a class last night and I did this at least 3 times. I was coaching people and I would say, is that close to how you're feeling? You know, in other words, I follow it up with a specific doable request of them. Did I get that? And seriously, half the time the person responded, well, no, actually, that wasn't really it. And I was okay with that, right? That, you know, that's the other thing. I mean, we're facilitating, we're not dominating. You know what I mean? We're not there to prove that we're right or, you know, better or whatever. I mean, even if people are projecting that, I mean, you know, sometimes people will project that onto somebody in a leadership position, like they want you to be perfect. And that's, you know, it's uncomfortable, but we don't have to take on that burden. But what we do want to do is check in, which is actually something you said in the beginning, the very first intro. You know, like check in, like that's such a great NVC school tool. Is that resonating? Did I get it? Is that okay? You know, you know, how is that for you to, you know, for me to say that? How was that for you? So what we're doing is we're modeling the vulnerability of NVC. And I think I'll just say we're probably, yeah, we are a little bit over time. I think one of the challenges and growth points of facilitating NVC is how much we're modeling it while we're facilitating. So I will walk my talk and say, was what I just said helpful, and how was that for everyone to hear?
That was good to me too.
I really like what you said about when people are making like judgmental observations to bring that back to their own feelings. That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found more generally like the perspective of hearing Daniel get like coached through how to coach a little bit to be a different angle on nonviolent communication that I haven't experienced yet in our previous meetings, and so that was valuable to me.
Yeah, and it was valuable to me that Tallis like seeing me have my own butt handed to me, you know what I mean? Like get my butt whooped here in front of y'all. And it was cool. It was fun. It was good. And um I love that kind of thing because it makes me uncomfortable in a way. It's like, okay, now let's learn. Okay, like let's grow. Okay, that was a mistake. Okay, this is, you know what I mean? I love the energy to get going into that. And I think it really helped me. Like it helped me a lot. So.
And Daniel, if you want, you can. I would love to set up a time for you to maybe come do that with Yelp when they get here, when the high schoolers get here. If you want to do some practice leading them through a nonviolent communication session, we have a few afternoons open, and I can communicate with you via email with Michael and Joel, and we can set up a time if that would be something you would be interested in. Any kind of like skill building, nonviolent communication session. There are going to be like 5 of them, maybe 4.
I think it sounds cool to me. Like I love to do it as long as we can have fun. Well, you know, what I mean, you know, that's for me. That's important. So have fun and do that.
You know, I think something that could be really great, and it would sort of up the level of what we've been doing with Yelp for a couple of years, is let's say you decide we're going to have 4 sessions, let's just say, and explain in the first opening, you know, this observation, feeling, needs, requests. And then the first one, just work on observations, you know, mostly. The second one, feelings. The third, needs. The fourth, requests. Because I think that was another piece of feedback I had, Daniel. I think that it's too much to throw to new people to try and do all 4 in like the first role play NVC anything they've ever done. If you go on YouTube and you can find the trainings that Marshall Rosenberg used to give, he would divide them up. He would spend, you know, like if he was doing an all-day training, he would spend, you know, the first 2 hours on observation and then the second 2 hours on feelings, you know, like that. And sometimes even, you know, a whole day on one. So that also I think will make it easier for you, because you could just get a very specific, clear scenario. You know, something happened between 2 friends and everybody's pissed off. So what do you say to each other about it? And then let's see what happens if we translate it into a observation. So,
I'm down with that.
yeah. So that's awesome. And am I correct that Greenworks has a budget for Daniel to do this?
Yeah, we'll be getting.
Okay, that's great, because just, you know, we have some money for Alive, and it's good to save that for when we're doing things and there's nobody else financing it.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, we do. I will check with Joel like on what exactly that looks like how much we can pay you for a session, because that I don't know off the top of my head at all. I don't know if I've ever been told that, but yeah, I think we still have that in our budget.
Great.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too, and it was good to see y'all. Speaking of which, we're about to hop off in a few minutes. We have an interview for one of the high schoolers, so we're gonna get to start meeting them. So yeah, thanks y'all so much.
Great.
Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. You're just such a great trainer. I'm just,
Yes.
it's just wonderful.
And keep working on
Yeah, and nice to meet you, Michael. And
Yes, nice to meet you both. Yeah.
it. Great to meet you, Michael. You're great.
Awesome. We'll see y'all soon then.
all
See you
right,
next time.
Yeah.
bye, everybody.
Have a good one.
Oh, we have to stop the recording.